Wow. Okay. Okay, Lollers, we are in the beginner's guide to playing Aatrox. This is one of the coolest champs in the game, in my opinion. Really good character model. He's essentially like the demon, the devil of the rift, and also just a really cool kit and play style. So he is a fighter, a duelist, bruiser, whatever you want to call him. He likes to get into the thick of battle. He has a lot of built-in sustain into his kit through his passive and his abilities, and he likes to always be a part of the fight, right at the heart of the fight. Okay, soaking up damage, dealing a bunch of damage, and displacing enemy champions. So if you like that idea, the play style of, going into the heart of battle, destroying all your enemies, this guy's for you. Give him a try. So we're going to quickly run through his abilities here. Again, we're in a training mode, and I suggest you guys really kind of, when you're picking up new champs, just jump into these modes quickly here, spawn an enemy, practice dummy, and have some fun learning the abilities and using the kit properly. So really quick, his passive here, Deathbringer stance. When it's active, it has a cooldown. You're going to see that right now it's on cooldown because we just auto attacked. But when it's active, your next auto attack is going to deal additional damage, and it's going to heal you for a percent of health. Okay, so it's going to heal and deal more damage if it's against an enemy champion or a large minion like a cannon minion. So if you're in lane, you want to heal more. The trick with this is just use it against an enemy champion when it's active, or against a large cannon minion, or something like a scuttle, or whatever it is in the river or jungle. So you're going to know it's active when you see this icon here appear above your toolbar at the bottom, and also when your blade is glowing. Okay, so our next attack right now is going to deal more damage and heal us. You can see it dealt 123. When it's not active, the auto attack only deals 76. Okay, so just keep that in mind, that this is part of the kit that really gives you a little bit more damage in your skirmishing, and also that healing. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is the Q, the Darkin Blade. This is Aatrox's bread and butter ability. You need to actually have some skill to use this, so the more you play Aatrox, the better you're going to get at it. It's a 3 cast ability where the edge, the tip of the ability, the sword tip, is going to have more damage, and it's also going to knock people up. Okay, so you're going to see here on the cast, there's parts of the ability, and the edge is what deals more damage and knocks people up. So the pattern is, the first cast of the Q is a long straight line, the second cast is more of a rectangle, and the third one is a circle. That's the simple way to think about it. Okay, now for the first two, the square parts, the line and the square, the edge, the outer edge, is what deals more damage and knocks people up. So you want to time that. All right, so the outer edge, that outer box, is what hits and knocks people up. You can see if you miss, you get no knock up, no damage. So this is where you're going to have to just learn to play around this ability a bit. And just for the purposes of this guide, we're going to auto refresh the cooldowns to make it a bit easier. Okay, so the tip knocks people up, right, up, and then on the third one of the circle, the center, that center circle, is what knocks people up and deals more damage. Okay, so ideally when you're using this 3 cast combo, you want to hit, knock up, move up a little bit, hit again, and then hit again. Okay, they're going to try and run away, especially if you hit that first one, so that's where it's important to keep walking up into them. I know this dummy's not moving, but you would keep following the champ and casting each Q. Okay, if you can weave in autos in between those, that's great. Okay, now part of also mastering this ability is using it with your E, which is the second ability we're going to learn here, Umbral Dash. Now on its own, passively, it's always going to give you Omnivamp, and what that means is all of your autos and spell casts are going to help heal you. Again, playing into that kind of sustain aspect of Aatrox's kit. He's not a super tanky champion, but if you use your abilities well and heal well through them, you actually become tanky through the life gain. So important parts of the E before we pair it up with the Q is just dashing around the map, understanding where you can dash with it. Okay, this gives Aatrox a huge amount of mobility to either engage or escape. Okay, so there's certain walls that are going to be too thick to go through, but there's a lot that you can get through with this dash that looks like are going to be too wide. So jump into a practice training mode tool and just see which walls you can go through. The ones that are too thick, avoid trying to dash through those, obviously, in your games, but even ones that are thick, there's little kind of cuts you can make on them if you really want to, and kind of get over certain parts just to kind of close the distance to chase an enemy champion more, or to get away. If you were trying to escape a gank and you were just trying to leave, you could get through like that. Okay, so it's a mini flash. Eventually, when you have enough cooldown, enough points in it, you can use it like every 3-4 seconds. It gets pretty crazy. So just understand the benefits of this is you get that Omnivamp and you get a dash. So we're going to be maxing out this ability second. Now, how does that pair up with our E? you can actually dash in the cast of the E. So you can see we can go forwards or backwards on that E cast, right? So we could, if we were out of range on the first cast, right, we could, on the second one, for example, E forward and hit them, or even on the third one, E forward and hit them again. Okay, this is what's going to help you catch enemies off guard and really start to land all three of your Qs on them. Because if you're just statically in lane trying to press Q on someone, they're going to be able to walk out of it, or you might miss. So what the E does, it allows you to reposition that blade tip to always try and grab that knock up on them. And as you get better at this, it's going to be really easy to knock that opponent up and grab cooldown on your Deathbringer stance, which is going to let you auto attack and heal more often. Okay, this is the difference. If you're really new at Aatrox, you're gonna be like, what the heck, everybody says like you can heal so much with this guy, like, and you're not going to see it. If you're not good at landing those Q tips and you're not building in the auto attacks, you're not going to be reducing the cooldown of the spell. Every time you hit someone with the tip of the blade, it reduces the cooldown of your passive by 4 seconds, not 2, right? That's huge. So, right, that's down to 6, down to 0 now. Now we can build in an auto attack, and now we can hit again, right? We only have a Doran's Blade. That combo dealt 500 damage. I don't even think we hit the full combo, so let's just try it again, right? Q, auto, Q, auto, Q, auto. 600 damage off that one kind of Q auto trade combo, okay? And we haven't even built in the E yet, right? So the E just helps you catch people. So if they were gonna dodge, right, you could hit them like that, right? We E a little bit to the side there. So you can really think about this. You can E in any direction. You can go forward to catch it. You can go to the top left. You can go to the top right, back, wherever you want to go, right? Like we go backwards. We can go backwards, we can go left, right? Like it's really like driving a car. So it's going to take some time for you to get used to it, but once you do, it's very, very effective, and you're going to start to notice your Aatrox play get a lot better. Now the next ability we're going to learn here is our W, Infernal Chains. This is essentially just crowd control. It has a kind of a cool animation and interaction where you're going to throw it out, and if the enemy's moving and they don't get out of the box in time, it's going to suck them back to the middle. So all that does to you, it does a little bit of damage. It's pretty much like, forget about the damage part, it's just mostly for the CC and the lockdown. What it's going to do for you is, if you were going to try and Q an enemy champion and you were going to miss the tip of your blade like that, this kind of lets you make sure they pull back, and then you can hit them in the center with it. Okay, so Aatrox again is kind of a complicated champ to play. He's not easy. You have to tie all of your abilities together in a well-executed manner to really maximize the damage on them. So what you could do if you wanted to use this W really effectively, because it is still a skill shot, you could miss it, right? Like I could cast it this way and miss the champ. What you want to do is you want to catch the champion or whatever you're trying to lock down with a Q knock up first, so it's easier to land it. So if I catch it with the Q, it's knocked up, now I land that, maybe I land another one, and then I land the other one when it comes into the center. Okay, so again, you're gonna have to play around with this to understand the timing and match everything up, but I'd recommend kind of the basic 3 basic ability combo is you land a Q knockup first. Okay, if you don't, you're trying to land that knockup, then you land the chain, and then you time up that last Q for when they get pulled into the chain. Alright, the reason for that is it's just always easier to land a skill shot if the enemy champion is knocked up, displaced, stunned, whatever it is. So your Q has a built-in knock up. If we can knock them up with it, that's when you want to land that W right after that, okay? And then you follow it up with your other Ws, or sorry, your other Qs, and just keep beating them down. Okay, that's the basics of his kit in terms of his 3 basic abilities. We'll level up now to level 6. Okay, again, you'd be maxing out your Q until you get to level 6, and then you obviously pick up a point in your R. Now your R is interesting because, again, it interacts with other parts of your kit. So when you cast it, Aatrox reveals his true demonic form, and he fears enemy minions, okay, not champs, minions, for 3 seconds, gains a bunch of movement speed, and also attack damage and self-healing. So it's basically a fighting steroid, okay? You're going to be able to move faster, you have more attack damage, and you have more self-healing. Alright, so we'll cast it here. You can see I have more movement speed, I become this big demonic creature, and now my attacks deal more damage while I'm in this form, and I heal more. Okay, so that means everything else in my kit, because I already have healing in my passive. If I hit somebody and I heal with my passive and my ult, I'm going to heal even more, right? If I knock somebody up or hit them with my Q, I'm going to deal even more damage, right? If I E and now I have 20% Omni Vamp and I'm healing, I'm going to heal even more. So this is a huge part of his kit. If you're in mid-game situations and you're fighting, you want to make sure you have your R ready. The other amazing part of this ability is you think, wow, it's only 10 seconds. It's not going to last that long. How, 10 seconds after that I'm going to be dead. I'm not going to have any of this Omni Vamp or extra damage. If you take down an enemy champion or a part of a takedown, you're going to have this extended by another 5 seconds and refresh the move speed. So it's almost like a resetting ultimate, which is great. You could pentakill very easily off this if you're tying in your abilities well. Okay, so we'll just check it out here. I'm going to check the damage on just a single auto attack when I'm not in alt form. See 93, and if I go into alt, 209. Right? Big pump up of damage. So just understand that, again, beginner Aatrox players don't understand that you're getting a damage boost, a heal boost, that might not cast their ult when they're even fighting 1v1 because they think they don't need it. But the ult gives you so much more, right? Your Qs become more powerful, your autos become more powerful, your healing becomes more powerful. So just make sure you use that when you're about to start getting into a big engage, either 1v1 or in team fights. Okay guys, so that's the kit. We'll just quickly cover off item builds right now and some of the runes that I took before we jump into laning against the bot and just tying this together against an enemy champion. So in terms of runes, I like running Conquer, especially if you're going to be against another melee bruiser. It's just the best for, again, healing and damage ramp up. We have Triumph here for the ult reset, so when you take someone down you also gain some more health with Triumph. And then Legend Alacrity, because we're running Conqueror, just the extra attack speed lets you build in more autos, but you could run anything in this slot. And then we also have Last Stand, so when we're low on health we're healing, we're dealing even more damage. And then Secondary Tree, again, it's kind of up for the matchup that you're in and your play style. Right now I just have Second Wind and Revitalize just for the healing aspect. Okay guys, so we're gonna jump out of this this river and we're gonna jump into top lane against the bot champ in a second here and just tie some of these abilities in to a lane situation. Alright, so we're loaded up into our bot training game here. I'd recommend you guys, as you're picking up new champs, do the same thing, especially after you get a hang for their abilities. You can just try and use the combos against some enemy AI bots and get used to it before you jump into real games and potentially get frustrated if you lose the lane in the first 2 minutes. So in terms of starting items, we have the Darkin Blade and a potion here. We're running him in the mid lane. I'm a mid laner. I'll play any champ in the mid lane. It's fine. Generally for you guys, if you're getting started off, the matchups will probably be easier. Top lane, you'll face more kind of melee champs and fighters, so it's going to be a little bit easier to interact with those as Aatrox. But you can play him anywhere, mid lane, jungle if you really even wanted to. So we're going to pick up our Q first. That's our starting ability. And again, we're going to have knock up power in that tip of the blade on each cast. So right now we're just going to focus on getting some of these last hits, and then if we see Morgana step up into that knock up range, we're going to try and use our Q to chase her. Now, one thing we didn't talk about with the Q is if you don't use the third cast, it's actually going to come off cooldown a little bit faster, the total ability. So if you miss or the champ's too far away to really land that third cast, don't worry about it, just let it go and just wait for an opportunity to start using it again. Right? So you can see here I hit the Q, I'm going to follow up. If I miss the second knock up and there's no chance to keep following, I'll just back off and let the Q come off cooldown earlier. Now levels 1, it's going to be tough. You're going to be weak against a lot of champions, especially if it's a slightly ranged champion. So you're going to have to wait for your level 2 to really pick up that E and have a little bit of mobility to land the Q. Okay, so you can see now when we land the first knock up, we're going to have the ability to keep following up with our knock ups and probably have a good chance to land all 3. Okay, but level 1 you're going to be weak, so I'd recommend just playing safe. Use the length of your Q, if anything, level 1 to pick up some of those last hits a little bit easier on the minions. Okay, I'm not focusing too much on last hitting right now because we're just going to be focusing on the abilities and the trading, but obviously in your games try and pick up those last hits and you can use your Q at range to grab them. So let's say I was scared of this Morgana here killing me, I could use my Q to pick up that last hit on the cannon, for example, so it kind of extends that range. Now, how do we actually start trading against this champ? So we know we have our W now, which is a little bit of a lockdown stun ability here. So what you want to do is you want to land the first part of your Q, either using your E or not. It depends on if you have that or not. And then if they get knocked up from that first part of the Q and there's no minion between you and them, you want to throw that W to lock them down and continue the combo. So we'll try it here. Again, if there's minions in front of me and her, the W will not go through the minions. So there's just something to keep in mind. But Q, right, you hit, second Q, hit, and then just keep going, and then if we had that third Q, we would try and kill her there. Okay, so you can see there she was beating us in lane levels kind of 1 and 2, not the strongest champ, especially if she's ranged and she has some damaging abilities. But once you get to level 3, you can really start to trade effectively. And if you land a combo, and Aatrox is very combo heavy, okay? If you miss your first knock up on the Q, or you miss the second one, the combo's kind of done. So just give up on it and wait a few seconds. He's a manaless champ, so that is really good. You don't have to kind of pay the price resource-wise if you mess up some combos early on, so he's fun that way. But once you do land a full combo and you weave in auto attacks, it's really, really satisfying because you're going to chunk the enemy champion out big time. And you can see here our sustain with the passive is helping us heal up. Now again, you're going to be maxing that Q first, right? And now we're going to look for trades. So we're going for these knockups, right? There you go. And if we wanted to, we could follow up with that third Q if she was still there. Okay, so if you have a chance to land your W because there's no minions in front of you and the champion and you think you can land it without needing the knock-up to ensure that you hit the skill shot, just go for it. Have fun with it, right? See how good you are at your skill shotting too, because if you do lock them in, you're going to have a nice combo to be able to go off on them, right? So you can see there we locked her in. Even with autos and no Qs, we healed up with the passive a good chunk, and we dealt a good amount of damage. Now we're going to follow up with Q knockups, right? If she stays, she's kind of screwed, right? So her spell shield stopped that third or that second knockup, but if we got that, we would have killed her with the third Q. So you can use your E either on your first Q cast to surprise the enemy champion with the range of your first Q, but I actually prefer to use the E on my second Q because the second Q is actually a much wider hitbox. So when you use your E with your second Q, it almost guarantees a knock up on the champ. Especially you'll know off of your first Q if they're going to be more defensive and play back or play into you. So then you can kind of calculate how you want to use your E on your second Q. And then the third one, like I said, if they're still in range, use it. If they're not, just don't use it, let it go off cooldown. So in terms of the healing, remember, this heals you more if it's used on a large minion or monster. We just missed the cannon. But ideally you'd want to use that against cannon minions or enemy champions if you can. Okay, so they come back to lane again. The basic combo with us here is we're looking for those Q knockups. If we find them, that's great. If we don't, we're backing off. We're not using that third Q. You're going to have to kind of learn to chunk out the enemy champion. Again, we're a fighter. We're not like a burst assassin. So you're going to have to tie a few combos together or get into a big skirmish situation. So one knockup, two knockup, and then E into the third knockup. Maybe put a W on her, and then bring her back and kill her. We're going to use ult here. We will not get away. Those chains, man, held me down for a long time. We'll talk about the ult use in a second, but you can see there, I just wanted to kill her to show you guys that in one full rotation, and if they're not right next to tower, that would be ideal, you're going to be able to chunk down and potentially kill somebody off of one full combo if you're landing everything properly. So in terms of the build with Aatrox, because he's a fighter, skirmisher, and you want to have health and damage and cooldown reduction, generally Gore Drinker is your go-to rush item. Okay, this gives you everything you need. You have attack damage, you have health, you have 20% ability haste here, and then you also have base health regen. So this is the item we're going to pick up in most of our games first. You can build whatever aspects of this you want on your first back. Generally the Kindle Gem is recommended because it already has health and ability haste built in, and then after that you're going to rush towards some of the damage. Now, second item is still, I would say generally you're always going to go Ravenous Hydra just to have fun with the play style, and then build in the boots where you can. So total you're going to have Gore Drinker, Plated Steel Caps, and then your Ravenous Hydra. You could go Black Cleaver as your second main item in some of your games if you really wanted to, but I just say have fun with the healing part of it first. Aatrox heals a lot, that's kind of his gimmick, so just have fun with that first. So let's keep trading with her here. So you miss a Q, that's fine. It's that second Q you're looking for the E on, and then we're just going to follow up, right? We're going to land that W on her and just keep following up with autos right now. You can use your E to catch up if you want to once it's on a low enough cooldown. So guys, that's really it. I mean, with Aatrox, there's not too much to talk about. When our ult is up, I'll show you how you can use the ult to kind of create an engage for yourself and just kind of surprise a champ with your move speed, because it does give you a burst of move speed. So you want to use that to surprise a champ and maybe also help land your first Q or your second Q or a W. It's going to help you just ensure an engage, right? Because of the move speed. It's kind of creating an engagement and a chance to fight. Because once you start destroying people with Aatrox, they're not going to step up anywhere close to you. They're going to know your Q range. They're going to say, okay, well, I don't want to get hit by his Q. I don't want to risk having to like lose half my health bar to it, so I'm just going to play back. and the R lets you ensure you get an engage off because it fears minions as well, so it moves all the minions away from you. You can land the W at that point, or whatever you need. Okay, now this is an interesting scenario because you'll probably find yourself in this situation with Aatrox when that didn't hit me. When you're pushed up with him, you're going to have the enemy champ under tower trying to farm minions. So that's when you want to be able to get good at landing your E's. And your, let's see if we catch her here. So you want to get good at landing your E's and your Q's on them while they're under turret trying to farm. You can still harass them because of the length of your Q. Let's say the champ was kind of around here and they were trying to farm this creep or this creep. You could use your Q to try and knock them up and displace them so they miss those creeps. Okay, so you could use it there, and you're still not going to get hit by tower, right? You're a little bit out of tower range. So get good at trying to practice landing your Q's on them while they're under tower trying to farm. That's a really good skill to have with Aatrox. And if you chunk them out low enough, you can tower dive them. Because again, your ult, if you were tower diving somebody, your ult gives you a massive amount of move speed and some extra health and Omni Vamp, so it just lets you have that extra oomph under tower. So here she's trying to farm, we can land those, see we're not getting hit by turret, you can land those, still not getting hit by turret, and then you can E out if you really needed to. Okay? So let's try and use our ult here in combo. I think we might be low enough that if she ults us we're going to be screwed, but let's just try it anyway. So R, okay, land that, E into her and just keep beating her down now, and you'll kill her. You can see even in that combo there, we missed a lot. We missed the first two knockups. I thought the second one was going to hit, so I didn't bother using my E, but it missed. And she black shielded our W, right, which stopped it from pulling her back. But the move speed, the sheer damage we got off it, the healing we got off of that, it's just really, really big with Aatrox. And especially if you have your Gore Drinker built out, you're going to get even more healing and more damage off of that. Okay, so guys, that's the kind of basics beginner guide to playing Aatrox. He is one of the tougher champs just because he's very combo reliant. You could think of this guy as like a Street Fighter character if you're ever playing fighting games where you have to really know your combos and piece them together well. He's very combo heavy, so you're gonna have to put a few games into him to pick it up, but once you do, very satisfying champ to play, very fun champ to play, and especially as you get into team fights, just really cool to just heal up your whole health bar. So knock up there, and then we're gonna E into the next knock up, put the W on her, and then just follow it up if we can with more. So we'll try and kill her under turret here if she stays for this. I don't think she will, but if she does, I'll just show you guys how to maybe turret dive with the Q. I don't think she is. Right? Yeah, she's not. So that's fine. But guys, let me know if you have any questions about Aatrox in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, definitely let me know with a like or a comment so I know to keep pumping them out. I have a few champ guides on my mind that I'll continue to do, and then we'll see if we can post a gameplay for this guy in the mid lane or the top lane as well, so you guys can see him in a real player versus player scenario, how you might want to pop off with Aatrox in your games. Alright, I'll catch you guys in the next one.